You understand that most of the time when you go to shop and they want a certain amount of money for a good, then you give them money and they give you the good. You came to mutual terms. You agree to those terms. That is civilized conduct. Not everybody does this, by the way, but that's a flaw in people when they don't do that. That's why we call them criminals. That's why we call them uncivilized. They fail to abide by the necessary conditions of proper human interaction. As you bring up your children, that's what you prepare them for. At first, they are your subjects. You order them about, you tell them what to do. As they grow up, you give them more and more leeway to do as they choose to do. You train them to become grown-up, mature human beings. And at a certain time, you are no longer in charge of their lives. That doesn't, sometimes that's a fiction because they want your money and then you insist on certain terms. This is not geometry. This is human psychology and morality. But we understand this, that at a certain point, a human being reaches maturity, at which time, at least in principle, that human being takes over the governance of his or her life. Then you no longer can choose around. When I first came to the United States, I lived in Cleveland. I went to high school, and I also lived with my fascist father. My father was an out-and-out anti-Semitic Nazi. And I very soon, I only lived with him for 3 years, very soon recognized that I don't particularly want to live with this person. I want to read books. You know how it goes. Well, on my 18th birthday, I came at school, and the principal called us into his office. The principal said, "And what do you want?" And I said, "I don't want to go back home." And I said, "How old are you?" I said, 18. "Sorry, Mr. Machan." He turned to my father, and that was the end of the story. As a grown-up person, I had a will of my own to run my life. If I did not promise anything to him, or I didn't have a contract that committed me to live with him, I was a free human being. This is the nature of a free society, which is not fully followed, even in the United States of America. As you well know, there's too many dictatorial measures that all sorts of political authorities impose on. But the idea, the basic idea, that your life is yours, that you get to say what happens to this life, and other people can only come in if they get your permission. That idea is a revolutionary, radical notion which America has introduced to the world because of its official declaration. Now, it's been circulating here and there, of course. In ancient Greece, some people were libertarians. 5,000 years ago, the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu was already articulating libertarian notions in his poetry. Alcibiades, a rather unsavory character in Socrates' Athens, was a kind of libertarian. He was also a kind of libertine, which is not the same thing, by the way. But so there was always this notion, simmering, percolating, that human beings really should be in charge of their own lives and associate with others on the basis of mutual consent. But not until the American founders did it become an official doctrine of an entire society. And even then it wasn't fully consistently embraced. And today it is hardly known. Look at this election, for example. We have a presidential election, and the word freedom never comes up in anybody's discussion. They never talk about freedom. They talk about entitlements. And what are you entitled to? To rip other people off for your benefit. That's what you're entitled to. They don't put it that way, but that's the substance of it. You want health insurance? Well, instead of saying, well, you have to save up for it or get it from some charitable organization or some good friend or from your parents or family. No, you can get it by legislation. Well, what do you mean by legislation? That means we'll take it from others and provide you with it.